The day the court told me my children would live with Chike felt like the sky swallowed the sun. My ears heard words, but my heart heard thunder. I walked out of the court in Ikeja, and the city noise sounded far away, as if I was underwater. People passed me, carrying food, laughter, problems, hope, and I wondered how their feet still moved when mine wanted to turn to stone. I am Ifeoma Nemdiri. I used to think pain had a shape. That day I learned pain is a flood. The judge, Justice Okonkwo, spoke softly, but the words were hard. Custody goes to the father. I stood straight, because I am a mother who will not fall in public. But inside, a rope snapped. I am telling you this first because it is the worst part. It is the place where my world split into before and after. If your heart is shaking as you read, hold my hand. Lagos can be loud, cruel, fast, but it can also be the city that teaches you how to stand again. This is the story of how I drowned, then learned to breathe inside the water. I did not always live inside a storm. I arrived in Lagos with big eyes and a small bag. I thought opportunity wore neon light and smiled from every billboard on Victoria Island. I thought the sea breeze would open doors for me. Then I met a man named Chike Okafor. He spoke little, but when he promised, his voice was strong. You will never lack, he said. He did not send flowers. He did not sing, but he was steady like a wall. In a city where some men promise the sun and deliver an umbrella, I thought a wall was better. We married in Surler, with Jill bright like sunrise and drums that beat louder than my doubts. People prayed over us. They said amen as if those letters could build a house. Maybe they can, but a house needs windows too. A house needs air. I did not know yet that I would be asked to live without air, to learn to smile without laughter, to carry a home on my back while pretending it was light. Our flat on Bode Thomas was close to markets that never got tired. Denfos argued with traffic, hawkers chased coins, and the smell of suya told the night it was welcome. In that small apartment, I unpacked pots, plates, and the soft dreams of a young wife. Chike had rules, and they stood in the room like furniture we could not move. No house help, he said. A wife is the heart of the home. The heart does not outsource its beating. He liked fresh fufu every evening, shirts ironed till they could slice air, and a table that looked like Sunday every day. He believed love is work, not words. So I worked. I put my laughter in a cupboard and told myself. Later, the city outside danced with Afrobeats. I danced with brooms and pots. Every morning at 5, I became fire, water, wind, and earth. But when I lay down at night, I was ash. Chike was not a bad man in the way people like to define bad. He did not raise his hand. He did not shout often. He paid rent. He brought food money. He fixed broken things without calling anyone. But he loved with stones, not with petals. No, I love you. No surprise cake. When I fell sick once, he bought medicine and put it on the table while watching football. This one will make you strong, he said, eyes on the screen, voice on the pill bottle. I learned to swallow small sadness like vitamins. I would look at couples on a rooftop in Ikoi, holding hands as if the city could not steal them, and my chest would feel like a closed shop at noon. Romance is for small girls, Chike told me. You are a woman now. I wanted to ask, can a woman not be loved softly? But my mouth stayed quiet, and my feet returned to the kitchen. Lagos outside was a drum. Lagos inside our home was a clock. Tick, uniforms folded. Talk, stew simmering. Tick, floors shining. Talk, jollof on Sundays. Chike wanted his mother's taste in my pot. Smoky chicken, pepper that sings, rice that never clumps. I became a flavor maker, a sauce poet, a queen of clean. Friends said, Ifeoma, get help. I smiled the way women smile when a door is locked from the inside. We are fine, I told them, but I knew fine was the color of tired. Chike said house helps bring trouble. He said they spoil children and steal small things first, then big things later. He said strong wives do not need strangers. I told myself the same story until it fit my mouth. The truth though, some nights I closed the bathroom door and cried softly so the tiles could keep my secret. When I became pregnant with Kamsi, the first child, Chike's family danced. Now your name will grow leaves, his uncle said. But Lagos pregnancy is not a fairy tale. The traffic alone can press a woman's back into a complaint. Prices rise like heat. Cravings hunt like mosquitoes. My feet swelled, my breath shortened, but the chores waited like hungry birds. Women have always worked, Chaik said. My mother cooked with firewood and still carried twins. I learned the art of moving slowly while doing everything fast. I carried buckets like they were prayer points and bent to scrub floors while my belly said, "Sister, rest." I did not rest. I told my body we were strong. My body answered with silence, the kind that comes before a storm. After Kemsi came Adaora, then Samto, then Chittabem, then Amarachi, 5 children in 7 years, like rain that forgot its timetable. Chaik smiled at this harvest the way farmers smile at yam barns. Children are blessing, he said, and proved that a woman is fruitful. He did not believe in spacing. He believed in faith. God will provide, he said, and I believed in God too. But God was not the one washing cloth nappies at midnight. I loved my children with the kind of love that has no bottom. Their laughter was my medicine, but joy can be heavy when you are the only one carrying it. Night feeds, dawn cooking, noon frying, evening pounding. When did I laugh for myself? I cannot remember. I do remember the day I looked in the mirror and did not know the woman staring back. She looked like me but without my old light. I wanted to work. Not just sell small akara from our window, but work where my name had a desk. I studied enough to sit with numbers, to talk with customers, to climb without a man's ladder. Who will watch the children? Chaik asked. Daycare? His mouth bent. Our home is your office. He said it like a blessing, but it felt like a fence. When money got tight, I began a tiny business from the kitchen, akara, moi moi bottled zobo. Neighbors liked the taste. Coins started to smile at me. Chaik did not like the idea, but he liked the cash. Just don't let it disturb your duty, he said. Duty is a big word when you are already small from carrying it. I measured pepper and pain with the same spoon and told myself I could be both a good wife and a person. Our flat became a river of noise, children singing ABC, pot lids clapping, the generator bragging about its strength when Nipa slept. In all that sound, I tried to speak my truth, but my words hit the wall and slid down. A good wife does not complain, Chaik would say, eyes calm, voice firm. He believed culture is a car that must not turn. Men provide, women keep the home. I asked myself a quiet question. Who keeps the woman? I thought of my mother in Onitsha. Her back a map of old labor, her eyes still soft like ripe mango. She told me once, endure. Nu am, but endurance without air is just slow drowning. I wrote small letters to God at night. Please see me, I wrote. Please teach me how to be brave without being burned. My cooking kept me sane and trapped at the same time. Mondays, egusi with pounded yam until it stretched like a good plan. Thursdays, efo riro that glowed green like faith. Sundays, fried rice with grilled fish, pepper brushed on like a secret kiss. I carried heavy yams from Lagos Island, bargained for palm oil that shone like sunset, washed bitter leaf until the water told the truth. My children called my name like sugar. Mama, more fish. Mama, my spoon. Every mama was a ribbon and a rope. I held onto their smiles like a raft. I told myself that love can be a plate, a hug, a bedtime story, a clean uniform. It can, but love can also be a question. Where am I in all this giving? I watched other homes grow extra hands. House helps came from villages with shy eyes and fast legs, and I envied a little, then hated myself for envying. Inflation bit everyone. Even help was expensive. Chaik told stories of maids who broke homes and harmed babies. We will not allow strangers, he said. So I became the stranger to myself. My back began to pray in pain. My knees complained like old uncles. Some evenings I sat on the bathroom floor and let tears roll like beads from a cut necklace. The mirror did not judge me. The walls kept my secret again. In the morning, I rose, washed my face, and wore my strong like a wrapper. After Amarachi was born, my body started to talk in a language of aches. The doctor at the clinic, a woman named Dr. Halima, told me gently, "Madam, rest is not sinful. You need help at home." I nodded because her eyes were kind, But in my house the word help was a thief. Chike thought suffering makes a woman noble. I thought suffering makes a woman silent. Lagos grew taller around me, new malls, fresh startups, women driving their own dreams, but inside our flat, time walked in circles. I held my baby. I kissed small foreheads. I stirred soups, and I wondered if I would ever see the version of myself who used to laugh without asking for permission. I did not know the day was coming when a plate, a sentence, and a look would break the shell around my fear and let me hear my own heartbeat again. The day that pushed me to the edge did not start with thunder. It started with small things that pretended to be nothing. Nipa took light before dawn. The generator coughed like an old man and refused to start. Kemsi spilled pap on his uniform. Adaora could not find one shoe. Samto cried because his pencil broke. Chitabem knocked over water. Amarachi wanted only my hip, my voice, my breath. I moved from pot to plate to bucket like a spinning top. When Chike came from the bedroom, he asked for hot water and a shirt ironed like glass. I gave him both. He tasted the stew and said the pepper felt lazy. The word lazy hit my chest like a slap from a ghost hand. I was not lazy. I was tired. I was a woman doing the work of 3 women. So I asked, soft at first, Chike, please help me with these plates. He looked at me as if I had insulted his ancestors. It is your duty, he said. My mother never asked my father to wash plates. If you were better organized, you would not be this tired. The plates in the sink became a mountain. I looked at the mountain and then at my hands. And something inside me broke. Not loud, not messy, but clean, like a rope cut with one careful knife that night. Sleep was a stranger who stood outside my window and refused to enter. I sat on the floor by the bed while the fan turned slow circles above me like a lazy moon. The children breathed the soft breath of peace. The room smelled of powder and palm oil, of fresh soap and old dreams. I took a plain notebook, the cheap kind from the market, and I wrote a letter to my own heart. Dear Ifeoma, I wrote, you are not a machine. You are not a broom. You are not a pot that must boil every hour, or a cloth that must always be clean. You are a person. You are a mother, yes, but before that, you are a woman with a name and a soul. I wrote simple lines like that for hours, like a person pulling thread through torn cloth, stitch after stitch until the tear remembers how to be whole. I prayed small prayers to God, not loud ones, just a whisper. Give me courage, give me a door. I did not ask for Chike to change anymore. I asked for me to change. Pain is a teacher with a hard face. But when you listen, you learn the most important word. Enough. In the morning I tried a test. It was a small test, the kind that tells you if the ground under your feet is real. I told Zainab Lowell, my friend from our street, that I would meet her at a small cafe near Ojeligba after school drop-off. Nothing big, just a cup of tea. 1 hour to breathe different air. She smiled on the phone and said, come, wear your red scarf. We will talk and laugh until the traffic becomes music. I told Chike at breakfast. His spoon stopped. His eyes did not rise. For what? He asked. Just to see a friend, I said. I need a break. He said. From what? From your home. I felt the old shame stretch its fingers. I kept my voice calm. I will be back before you return from work. The children will be fine. He said no. He said it the way a locked gate says no to a tired traveler. That day I did not push the gate harder. I turned away, finished the chores, and walked the children to school. But while I walked, I made a quiet promise. If I could not open the gate, I would learn how to climb it, even if it left marks on my knee. Lagos was changing around me like a film that updated its scenes every week. Women were not waiting for permission anymore. They opened small shops with savings from online groups. They learned skills on free apps. They sold thrift on Instagram. They shared childcare. They bought second-hand washing machines. They used delivery riders when traffic was wicked. The world was moving even if my flat felt like a stubborn old bus that would not start without prayer. I began to collect tiny tools. Auntie Said Afalayan, who sold Ankara in Yaba, told me, come in the afternoons when the sun is soft. I will show you how to measure, cut and stitch. Tailoring is patience plus practice. Madame Funkajay, who owned a small tailoring shop behind the fabric stalls, let me sweep and watch for free. Sit there, she said, tapping a stool with her measuring tape. Use your eyes first, hands later. I went when I could. I learned to thread needles and pin cloth. I learned that cloth has a mood, that straight lines are not always easy, that a good seam holds a story without shouting. Each day I stole 1 hour from my old life and gave it to the new one growing in a small corner of my chest. Then came the Sunday of the stew and the sentence that turned my tide into a river. After church we ate at the table, and Chaik said the pepper still slept. I said nothing. He finished and left his plate. I stood at the sink with my back aching and asked again, "Can you help with the plates?" His mouth tightened. "It is your duty," he said. "If you were better, you would not be tired." I put the plate down. Water dripped from my fingers like tiny clocks. I turned to him and said, very quietly, "I am going to leave this marriage." The words surprised even me. They did not shout. They did not shake. They just stood on their feet like people who know their names. Chaik laughed, not loud, but with the pride of a man who thinks the world is a circle drawn by his finger. "You?" he said. "Where will you go? Who will take care of you? Who will keep the children? People will laugh. Family will call you mad." I wiped my hands. My heart was beating, but it was not afraid of itself anymore. "I will find a way," I said. The sink kept dripping. The house kept breathing. The world did not end, but a world did end. Mine, the old one. I learned then that leaving is not a door you open once. It is a corridor that keeps testing your feet. I spoke to Mrs. Amaka Ease, a lawyer I met through Pastor Bamidi Elena at church. She wore simple suits and had eyes like calm water. She listened to me without rush. "Your marriage is customary and not well documented," she said. "Property rights will be hard, but your safety and dignity matter." She told me what papers I would need, what steps to take, how long it could drag. It sounded like a mountain again. I wanted the simple hero road where the brave woman leaves on Monday and finds a new life by Friday. Lagos does not give such roads. It gives traffic. It gives queues. It gives you the chance to grow patience that tastes like pepper. I went home and chose not to fight that night. I packed only in my mind. I packed my name, my breath, my small skills, my letters to myself. I told God, "Walk before me. The road is long." Outside, the neighborhood women laughed under the mango tree. Inside, I drew a map on the quiet air and told my feet to remember it. When I finally said divorce out loud in our living room, the word walked like thunder through our building. Mama Kofo Oni, our landlady, heard pieces. Mr. Bello Yusuf, the generator fixer, saw my red eyes and gave a joke like medicine. Family called from everywhere. Auntie Goziama from Onitsha said, "Nua am, be sure. The road will cut your feet before it gives you sandals." Chaik stood firm. He refused mediation. He said, "As long as you breathe, you're my wife." His uncles visited with proverbs like stones. "A river that leaves its path gets lost in the bush," they said. I smiled politely and served them malt, but inside I spoke my own proverb. A woman who drowns in silence does not save the children watching her sink. I filed the papers. I signed my name with a shaking hand that still wrote straight. I began to move my clothes to a small room I found near Aguda. Mama Kofo looked at me with eyes that scolded and hugged at the same time. "Pay small, she said. "But keep your head. Lagos will not pity you for long." I nodded. I did not need pity. I needed a path. Court days felt like waiting in a hospital, the kind where the benches are hard and the air is full of other people's pain. Justice Okonkwo was not wicked. He was careful. He asked for documents I did not have because the old days did not teach women to keep receipts for every pot, every chair, every bag of rice they bought with market savings. He looked at earning power. He looked at names on papers. On those papers, Chaik owned the road, the car, the house, the furniture. I owned my breath and my body, and even those felt borrowed at times. Mrs. Amaka spoke for me with words that were neat and true. She asked for fair custody. She asked for support. She asked for a window, not a palace. Chaik's lawyer S. The day of the judgment, the court did what courts do. It went by the books. It said the father would keep the children. It said I would have visiting rights. It said I could see them, but not decide where they sleep. I walked out into the Lagos sun that did not care who won or lost. Traffic moved. Hawkers shouted pure water. And gala! As if my heart was not breaking like a clay pot dropped by a rushing child. Zainab found me on the court steps. She did not talk much. She held my hand as if it was a small bird with a hurt wing. Come, she said. We will drink cold Fanta and breathe first. We sat in a small kiosk where the fridge hummed like a lullaby. I did not cry loud. I pressed a cold bottle to my face and let the water from my eyes wash my cheeks. A woman cannot be mother and not mother at the same time. That is what it felt like. A split that refused to heal. But I told myself a truth I could accept. I can lose a fight and still win my life. Moving out was not a movie scene. There was no dramatic music, no neighbor clapping, no sudden rainbow. It was me, 2 nylon bags, a box with my sewing needles and threads, a rolled mattress that tried to escape my grip, and Mr. Bello laughing kindly as he helped me tie it on a keek. Sister Ifeoma, you will be fine, he said, adjusting the rope with hands that smelled of fuel and faith. My new room in Surler was small enough to clean with 5 steps and big enough to hold my future if I folded it well. Mama Kofo shouted about rent 1 minute and brought me a kerosene stove the next. Don't burn my building, she warned, then smiled with one corner of her mouth. The first night I lay under a roof that knew only my name. The rain tapped a rhythm on the zinc like eager fingers learning a drum. I was alone. The word felt like a cold spoon on a sore tooth. But it was my spoon, my tooth, my night, my breath. I slept between fear and peace. In the morning, I woke up to both, and I chose peace first. The children became a place I visited, like a market where my favorite stall moved every week. Chike allowed visits, but with rules that felt like small cages. Not today. Come by 4. Only 1 hour. I stood outside their school sometimes, just to see them run in a pack of laughter and dust. Kemsi grew taller. Adora braided her own hair and looked like a small queen. Samto ran with his shoelace loose and his joy loud. Chitabem waved at every bird as if he knew them by name. Amarachi's hand felt like a warm coin inside my hand when I got to hold it. I brought snacks. I brought jokes. I brought simple stories about the tailor shop, about a customer who wanted blue but found peace in green, about a dress that refused to fit until someone said please. I did not bring blame. Children do not deserve to carry a war they did not start. At night, I prayed they would remember the songs I used to sing, the way I salted stew, the soft clap of my hands when they did small good things. I prayed they would remember me as home, even if home was now a place with visiting hours. Shame walked with me for a while, like a neighbor who talks too much and never pays rent. Markets are loud and kind and cruel in the same breath. Some women threw eyes that said she could not keep her home. Some men gave smiles that tasted like insult. Older aunties told me to endure. Younger girls looked at me like a warning sign on a slippery road. I learned to move through the noise without letting it live inside me. When I felt the shame rise, I did something small and strong. I cleaned my little room until it shone like a new plate. I cooked one nice meal even if it was just okra with small fish. I ironed my only good dress. I tied my head tie well. I walked to church and sat in the back where the choir voices could wash my skin. Pastor Bamadil preached about second chances that do not ask for your CV. He spoke about grace that picks you from the gutter and does not ask who pushed you. After service, he pressed a small envelope into my hand. For transport, he said. It was not much, but it was a hand held out without judgment. And that is a kind of light. That week, I learned a sentence I still use. Shame cannot live where truth is standing. I stood, and I stayed standing. Starting again is like planting cassava in porous soil. You do not know if it will grow, but you put it down anyway. I became a cleaner first, scrubbing offices on Broad Street after bankers left. The tiles mocked my knees, but the money was something. Then I met Madame Funkajaya again at Yaba Market. She had seen me watching her tailoring once. You want to learn? She asked. My heart leapt like a child hearing music. Yes, I said. She gave me a chair in her shop and paid me small for hemming cloth. I sat with women who stitched both clothes and stories. They laughed with full throats, cursed stubborn sewing machines, and carried their pain in bold colors. I began to breathe again. At night, in my small room, I touched a sewing machine I bought secondhand with all my savings. It was scratched. It groaned when it worked, but it was mine. I said to myself, this needle will stitch your freedom. It was not much, but it was the seed of tomorrow. And in Lagos, a seed can grow even between stones. Church became my second shop, this one for the spirit. I sat at the back pew of St. Mark's Parish, where nobody asked for my husband's name or judged the plainness of my wrapper. The choir lifted voices that sounded like waterfalls, and I let the sound wash the dust from my chest. Pastor Bamidi Elena had a soft way of preaching, like someone offering a cool drink to a thirsty traveler. God sees you even when people close their eyes, he said one Sunday. I felt the words touch me like a hand on my back. After service, he gave me a small envelope with 5 crisp notes. Transport, he said. My pride wanted to refuse, but my hunger said yes. With that money, I bought new thread and needles. I told myself, every blessing, big or small, is a brick. Use it to build, not to boast. In that church, I remembered that joy is not a luxury, it is medicine. Slowly, I began to take the medicine. But healing is not straight like Third Mainland Bridge. Some nights, I lay on my mattress and felt the ache of absence more than the comfort of survival. I missed my children with a hunger no yam could fill. I missed Kemsi's jokes, Adara's questions, Samto's loud games, Chidabem's gentle hugs, Amarachi's baby hands. I missed the sound of 5 small bodies filling a house with chaos that was still music. In the silence of my new room, the absence was louder than traffic. And sometimes, memories of Chaik rose too, not just the coldness, but the small good things, the way he fixed a broken fan, the way he laughed once when Samto danced like a clown. Pain and love mixed like stew with too much oil, confusing, messy. But each time regret tried to plant itself, I pulled it out with one thought. If I had stayed, I would have drowned. Better to ache in freedom than to smile in chains. I learned that healing means forgiving yourself, not forgetting the past. Lagos moved fast while I crawled. Women swiped on phones, met men in rooftop bars, took selfies at Landmark Beach. Divorce was less of a curse for younger women. Some were married quickly, others lived boldly alone. I was not ready for love yet, but I was ready for air. I started saying yes when Zainab invited me to small things. A comedy show in Ikeja, a street art festival at Freedom Park, a simple walk on Marina with Puff Puff in hand. I bought one second-hand dress with bright ankara and wore it like armor. I met men too, one talked only about himself. Another wanted me to cook before even knowing my favorite color. I laughed at some, I ignored others. But one day I met Namdi Iraha, a quiet customer at Madame Funk's shop. He ordered a shirt, but he also asked about my work with respect in his eyes. Respect, such a simple thing, yet it felt like rain after Harmattan. For the first time, I thought maybe love was not dead, only sleeping. Confidence does not arrive like a danfo. It arrives like drops of water that one day become a river. I joined a small business workshop at Yaba Tech, free lessons in bookkeeping and customer service. I learned to keep receipts, to price fairly, to save coins before spending notes. At night, I watched free videos on tailoring tricks, even on basic coding. My children, when I saw them, listened to me talk about these new things with wide eyes. Mama, you're like a student again, Adora said once, giggling. I kissed her forehead. We never stop being students, Ni. Step by step, I rebuilt not just my life but also my mirror. When I looked at myself now, I saw not only tired eyes but also stubborn fire. I was not just surviving anymore. I was building. Tonight, rain falls on my tin roof like applause, and the city glows through my curtain. I sit at my small table, pen in hand, sewing machine by my side, heart full of scars and seeds. I write my story so that anyone trapped in silence may hear it and know silence is not the end. I am Ifeoma Nemdiri. I lost a marriage. I lost my children's daily laughter. I lost the old version of myself. But I found something new. A voice that will not be folded again. Tomorrow I will cut cloth and stitch another dress. I will save another 500 naira. I will write another letter to my children, reminding them their mother is still here, still standing. And one day, I will find love again, not because I need rescue, but because I deserve kindness and joy. My story is not finished. The sun will rise tomorrow, and so will I. The first big test of my new strength came when I saw my children at a school event. Kempsey was in a debate competition. He stood tall, voice sharp like his father's, but when his eyes found me in the crowd, something softened. He smiled, quick and small, as if to say, "I see you, Mama." That smile was worth every lonely night. Adara tugged at my sleeve after the program and whispered, "Mama, did you sew this dress?" She touched a bright anchor I wore, and I nodded. Her eyes glowed with pride, not pity. In that moment, I knew I was not just a visitor in their lives. I was still their foundation, even if the walls around them were built elsewhere. When Chaik saw me, his eyes were cool, his words clipped. "Don't fill their heads with your pity stories." I looked at him, steady, and said, "I don't give them pity, I give them hope." For the first time, he had no reply. My sewing grew into something bigger than I expected. Madame Funkajay trusted me with more customers, and soon I was stitching uniforms for school children and wedding a soebi for women in Surulere. Word traveled like smoke in Harmattan. "Go to Ifeoma," people said. "Her hand is neat. Her stitches are strong." I rented a tiny stall beside Auntie Said Afalayan's fabric stand. We worked side by side, cloth and needle like sisters. She teased me often. "One day, Ifeoma, your shop will be bigger than mine." I laughed, but secretly, I believed her. Lagos rewards stubborn hands. Each coin I saved became a brick. Each satisfied customer became a pillar. And slowly, the shame that once followed me like a shadow began to fade. In its place grew respect, the kind you cannot buy, only earn. Still, there were nights when loneliness knocked on my door like a stubborn neighbor. I missed having someone to share small victories with. Today I finished 10 dresses, or the children hugged me longer. Sometimes I thought of Namdi, the quiet man with kind eyes. He returned for another shirt, then another. He always asked, "Are you eating well? How is business?" Not in a controlling way, but in a way that said he cared. He never rushed me. He never spoke of marriage. He simply showed up, steady as rain. I began to wonder if love could return, not as fire this time, but as gentle sunlight. I did not rush to answer. Some journeys require time, and my heart was still learning to trust its own rhythm. But hope stirred, and that was enough. By now, I was no longer the silent woman who once cried in bathrooms. I spoke boldly at market women's meetings. I encouraged younger wives not to lose themselves in duty. Marriage is not slavery, I told them. Children are blessings, not chains. Do not forget yourself while remembering everyone else. Some laughed, some nodded, some whispered my words later. I did not mind. Seeds are not always planted on the same day they grow. Pastor Bamidil invited me to share my story at a women's fellowship. My knees shook, but my voice was clear. Afterward, one woman hugged me with tears in her eyes and said, "You gave me courage." That night, I realized my pain was not wasted. It was compost that helped other women grow. That thought healed me more than any doctor's pill could. My relationship with my children remained a battle of time and patience. Chaik still guarded them with rules. But children are clever. They smuggled love through the cracks. Samta once slipped me a drawing of a big house with the words, "Mama's shop" written above. Chittabem brought me a small stone from their yard. "Keep this," he said. "It's from our home." And Amrachi, still little, ran to me one day and shouted, "My mama," as if the whole world needed to know. Those crumbs of love were feasts to my soul. I collected them, kept them safe, and used them as fuel to work harder. I promised myself, one day, they will not just visit me. They will know me as the mother who refused to disappear. Life in Lagos is never soft, but it began to smile at me in small ways. The landlord's wife, Mama Kofo, who once scolded me, now boasted to neighbors, "That tailor Ifeoma, she pays her rent early." Customers brought food as thanks, bags of rice, bottles of oil. Even Mr. Bello, the generator man, fixed my machine once and refused payment. "Your stitches saved my daughter's wedding dress," he said, laughing. "Consider this a trade. Piece by piece, the city that once pressed me down began to lift me up. I realized Lagos is not cruel, it only respects those who refuse to stop moving. When Namdi finally asked me to walk with him one Sunday evening along Marina, the sky was painted with orange and gold. The Atlantic breeze touched our faces, and for the first time in years, I felt truly light. He did not talk about marriage or roles or duty. He talked about dreams, his dream of opening a bookstore, my dream of owning a full tailoring shop. He said, "We do not need to heal each other. We only need to walk beside each other." That night, I did not give an answer, but my heart whispered, maybe yes, someday. The thought alone was enough to remind me I was not broken. I was alive, still capable of love, still deserving of joy. The turning point came when my stall became too small for my customers. I rented a larger shop with bright paint and a signboard. Ifeoma stitches strong hands, strong cloth. The day I hung the sign, I cried not from sadness this time, but from victory. Women who once pitied me now came for my skill. Men respected me not as someone's wife, but as Ifeoma, the tailor with neat work. My children visited, and when Kamsi saw the shop, he said, "Mama, you built this yourself?" I smiled and answered, "Yes, with God's help in my two hands." His eyes shone with pride, and in that moment, I knew the story they would tell of me would not be of failure, but of strength. In the evenings, when I closed the shop and walked home, I often thought of all the women like me, silent wives, hidden mothers, invisible dreamers. I wanted to gather them and say, "Listen, tradition is not a prison. Duty is not death. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to leave if staying will bury you." My story had become a folktale I carried in my mouth, told to anyone who would listen. It was not a tale of shame, but of survival. And in Lagos, survival itself is a crown. Tonight, as the rain drums again on my roof, I light a small candle and smile. The candle is not just for me, it is for every woman who thinks her story is finished. It is not. A woman is not a sentence to be ended by someone else's period. She's a paragraph, a chapter, a whole book. My name is Ifeoma Namdiri. I lost much, but I found myself. I am still standing. I am still building. Tomorrow, I will rise with the sun, stitch another cloth, laugh another laugh, and maybe love again. If you are reading this, carry my story with you. Tell it to another woman. Tell her, the pot of life may burn, but you can still cook again. And one day, when the city lights of Lagos twinkle outside her window, she too will whisper, "I am still here." My story is not over.